Laravel Reverb is the latest addition to the Laravel ecosystem that makes implementing real-time functionalities in your application incredibly easy. It is almost like a cheat code. Laravel Reverb was introduced a couple of months ago, and I finally had a chance to try it out. I was pleasantly surprised at how straightforward it is to add real-time features to your Laravel app. You have probably seen stock trading apps, live chat applications, push notifications, and other services that rely heavily on real-time data. With Laravel Reverb, creating these functionalities is now super easy. And I've prepared a simple example to show you just how easy it is to get started. Okay, so this is our example project. So for instance, here's the editor's account, and on the other side, on the left, is the chief editor's account. Our goal here is that once we delete this article, for example, there will be a pop-up notification to the editor informing them of the article deletion request. And in real time, the chief editor will also receive a notification asking for their approval to delete this article. In the chief editor's dialog, they can see who made the request, as well as the article's title. They have the option to either allow or reject the deletion. Once the chief editor deletes it, in real time, it should be removed from the editor's account. This is the article. Please take notice. So once I press the allow button, in real time, the article should be deleted from the editor's account without refreshing the page. Let's try again. For example, this. Okay, here's the notification and another notification on the chief editor's account. If they approve this, as you can see, the particular article they deleted will be removed. Okay, in this short video, let's recreate this functionality using Laravel Reverb. Okay, I have prepared the project files for our example. I will link the project files in the video description in case you want to use them. Otherwise, you can use your own files. So let's install Laravel Reverb in the terminal. Let's say PHP Artisan install broadcasting. By the way, whenever you see the command hey, it's just an alias for PHP Artisan. Would you like to install Laravel Reverb? Say yes. After this, it will prompt you to install the node dependencies for our broadcasting. Just say yes. It will build for production. After this, we'll just run our local development server. Let's go back to our code editor. After our installation, let's go to our environment files, and here in our broadcasting connection option, make sure it is set to Reverb, and below we have a brand new configuration options for Reverb. So here in the Reverb host configuration option, since I am using local SSL in my project, I need to change it to my local domain. In my case, my local domain is funwithreverb.test. Since I am using Laravel Herd, I can install local SSL on my development machine. Then in the Reverb scheme option, I will set it to HTTPS. But if you're not using local SSL, you do not need to change any options here. So next, let's populate our database for our testing examples. I have already provided the default seeders and migration files, so all you need to do is run our migration and seed our database. Okay, after seeding our database, you will see in my database client that our tables are now populated. Once done, let's go to our browsers. I will log in with an editor account and chief editor account. Once we are logged in, on the right side is our editor account, and on the left is our chief editor. I placed them side by side so we can see the real-time events happening in our project. Okay, let's start. So first, after installing Laravel Reverb, we will have a new routes file called channels route. When we open it, Laravel provides us with a default channel. We just need to modify it to fit our example. Let's change the channel name to management. This will be our private channel where users can subscribe to. Okay, let's set up the notification for the editor requesting article deletion from the chief editor. In the dashboard component, I have prepared a button here. This is our delete button. And when we click this button, we will call a function called handleDelete function and pass the article as an argument. So I've prepared some of the app logic to save some time. For example, if you're using Vue or any other front-end frameworks, you can implement your own code here. Because the most important thing I need to discuss is how to create real-time event broadcasting so that our front-end can receive the events coming from our backend. But if you want to follow along with our example, I will link our project files in the video description, as I said, so you can download and try them on your local machine. Next, let's declare our handleDelete function. Since I'm using Inertia with Laravel Breeze, we have a global function called router provided by Inertia. We'll use this to make a request to our backend. So we'll use router.post. For example, we'll make a request to the delete article request endpoint. Then as a second argument, we'll pass the ID of the article and the user ID, indicating who the current logged in user is requesting the article deletion. And of course, we'll pass the article itself as an argument to the function. As an optional third parameter, since I am using Inertia, let's say preserve scroll and set its value to true, so that when the user clicks the delete button, it won't scroll away and it will stay where our current scroll position is. So next, in our web routes file, we'll declare our endpoint inside the auth middleware group, so that only authenticated users can hit the endpoint. Let's say route, post, delete article request. But first, let's create the actual controller. In our terminal, let's run php artisan make controller. Then delete article request controller. We'll also make it invocable, so we'll just have one method and it will automatically execute once we hit our endpoint. Okay, let's go to our controller. In our invoke method, we'll execute the broadcasting of the event here to notify the chief editor that someone has requested an article deletion. Let's go back to our web routes, and then let's complete our post request statement here. Delete article request controller. Then let's go back to our dashboard component. I also have prepared notification state here, where we will store the notification states to display in our user interface. So this is our post request. After this, we'll just fill our notification state. And then we'll pass the article object to display in the notification dialog for the editor user. Okay, let's give it a try. When we go to our browsers and hit the delete button, whoops, it seems we have an error. Let's open our console, and it says here, variant is not defined. Okay, let's go back to our dashboard component. I have prepared some simple animations here, and I'll just correct it quickly. So in our variant object up here, yes, the variable name is different. So I'll just copy the notif animation and paste it here. Okay, I think that's it. So once again, in our handleDelete function, I'll comment out our post request at the moment just to make the dialog appear. Okay, in the browser, let's refresh it. So when I hit the delete button, and here's the dialog for the editor user. And take note, there's no real-time event happening here yet, since it is not needed on the editor user's account. So the next thing we'll implement is the actual real-time event, so that the chief editor can receive the article deletion request without reloading the page. Let's just uncomment our post request. So next, in order to broadcast an event from our backend to our front end in real time, we need to create an event class. So in our terminal, let's run php artisan make event, and let's name it delete article request received. After this, we'll have a new directory in our app folder called events. This is where our event classes will go. This is the event class we just created. And the most important step we need to do here is to implement the should broadcast contract. Here, we instruct that every time we have an event, we broadcast it to our front end. So let's go to our delete article request controller. Here, we'll broadcast our event to the chief editor to notify them that someone has requested deletion. First, let's retrieve the article to be deleted using find and passing the ID. Next, we'll fetch the user with the role of chief editor, as they are the ones who will receive our event, and the editor as well. Let's import the user model. Then down here, we'll broadcast our event. So let's say broadcast and instantiate the delete article request received class. Then we'll pass the arguments to it. First, the article, then the chief, and finally the editor who requested it. We need to accept this payload in our event class. So in the constructor method, let's accept the arguments and declare them as public properties. First, the article. Second, the user class, the chief user. And the third is the editor, who initiated the request. And then in our broadcast on function, if you remember, in our channel routes, we set up a new channel name. So our channel name is management. Then using string interpolation, let's declare the ID of the chief editor here, because we'll broadcast this event to them. Okay, so the next step is to allow the chief editor to receive the notification. We'll intercept the immediate event from our backend in our front end. I choose to put it here in the authenticated layout component, because if you're using Laravel Breeze with inertia, this encapsulates our components in the authenticated layout. So we can receive the real-time events from our backend, and the user will receive our notification even if they're on another page. So for example, if they're on the profile page or any other page, they'll still receive the notification, not necessarily on the dashboard only. Since I'm using React, I'll put this inside the useEffect hook. So if you're using Vue, you'll likely put it inside the onMounted hook. Inside the useEffect hook, we can call the echo class. This package is included when we installed broadcasting to receive events in our front end from the backend. We can subscribe to a private channel. Our channel name is management. Again, we concatenate the currently logged in user. We can see our echo setup in echo.js, which is pre-installed when we installed broadcasting, and then imported here in our bootstrap file. After subscribing to our management channel, we can start listening to events coming from our backend. The first event we'll listen to is the delete article request received we just created. So every time an event occurs in this class, our front end will receive it. So for now, let's log the content of the event coming from our backend. This way we can inspect it in the browser's console. But before that, let's go back to our terminal. And before anything else, we need to start our WebSocket server so our front end can listen to real-time events. Okay, in the terminal, let's run PHP Artisan reverb start. And one more thing, we also need to run a queue worker, which is required. So PHP Artisan queue listen. In development, I usually use listen instead of work. This way, if I make changes to our job files, I don't need to restart the queue worker again. So we now have the queue worker running and our WebSocket server is also started. Okay, let's test it. In our browsers, open the consoles and then refresh the pages. Then pay attention to the console of the chief editor to see if they receive our event when we request article deletion. So let's click the delete button. Here's the notification. And then in the console of the chief editor, as you can see, we didn't need to refresh the page and we received the payload of the event in our console. Okay, so the next step is to display the dialog for the chief editor, so they can either allow or reject the delete article request. So the first step is here in our event, in the closure of our listener, let's update our notification state, and then we'll pass the event payload coming from our backend. Then down here, this is the list of our notifications. First, we need to filter the notifications to display only the notifications intended for that user. In this case, the notifications for the chief editor only. Let's create a new variable, filtered notifs, and then filter the notifications array. We'll take a notification. And if the ID of the chief object is equal to the currently logged in user, only the chief editor will receive the notification from the backend. So in the comment, let's say this will only show the notifications for the intended receiver. Here in our notifications list, let's loop through the contents of the filtered notifs. For each notification, we'll render it, giving it a unique key, notif.article.id. I also prepared a component here, which is delete notification. We'll pass the editor prop, indicating who requested the article deletion. And the entity is notif, which is the actual content of the notification. It also has a close notif prop to dismiss the notification. The handle close notif function is declared above, which is already prepared to save some time. And we also need to set our editor state for our delete notification component. Okay, let's try it in the browser. Refresh the page. When we click the delete button, okay, we have an error. Set editor is not defined. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, we have an updater function, but we don't have a state. So let's add const editor, then set editor. Let's initialize it to null. Okay, let's try it again. Refresh the pages, delete, and there we go. Here's our delete notification for the chief editor. So when the chief editor clicks the allow button, the actual article should be deleted in the editor's account as well, in real time, without refreshing the page. Okay, let's proceed to the terminal. We'll create a new controller here. Let's call it article controller. Then in our web routes, we'll perform a route for the delete request at the article endpoint. We'll point it to our article controller. In the destroy method, and then we'll name it as article destroy. Then we need to create a new event as well. Let's say PHP artisan make event, article deleted. Okay, it looks like we already have an event with that name. Let's go back to our article controller. We'll create a destroy method. Then we'll fetch the article to be deleted. I'll put it in an article data variable to convert this to an array. Then I will also fetch the user who requested the article deletion. And here we'll call the delete function to permanently delete the article. After this, we'll broadcast the event so we can receive it in our front end. Let's broadcast the article deleted event and pass our variables as arguments. article data, article user. Inside our article deleted event, we'll receive them in our constructor, public article, and public user, representing the editor. And again, don't forget to implement the should broadcast contract. And we'll change the channel name down here, management, and then using string interpolation, we'll pass the ID of the editor who requested it. And the last step is for us to listen to the new event. So in our useEffect hook, let's listen to the article deleted event. Then we'll remove the article deleted by the user. We'll emit the remove article event as a prop to our dashboard component because the list of our articles is in the dashboard component. Let's go to the dashboard. Here in our authenticated layout component, we'll accept the prop remove article. Then let's declare the method handle remove article. And up here, we'll remove the actual article from the list. So it says const handle remove article. And we already have an article list state above. So we can just filter it, set article list. Inside the data object, let's filter the articles if its ID is not equal to the ID from the event coming from our backend. Here in our article list, I prepared a simple animation so that when articles are deleted, their contents fade out. Okay, let's try it. So back to our browsers, let's refresh the pages. When we delete, here's the notification to our chief editor. And notice this article that we deleted. When the chief editor allows it, the deleted article just fades out and updates in the editor's account in real time without needing to reload the pages. Let's try it again. For example, this one, delete. In the notifications, let's allow it. And as you can see, the article we deleted just fades out. Okay, now that concludes our simple introduction to Reverb. In just a couple of minutes, we were able to implement a simple real-time functionality in our application using Laravel Reverb. It's now much easier to implement real-time features in our projects using this incredible package. This amazing tool can be used effectively in various applications to implement real-time functionalities. Here are a couple of examples. Real-time notification system, just like our example. Live chat application. Real-time dashboards where you can display interactive graphs. Who is online feature, where users can see which of their friends or contacts are currently online. Real-time typing indicator that is very common on most chat apps today, where you can see if the person you are talking to are typing, and much more. You can learn more about Laravel Reverb by visiting their documentation. Here, you'll also find recommendations for deploying to production and other useful information. Okay, that's it. I hope you learned a thing or two. So what do you think? Since it's so much easier now to bring real-time features to your projects, are you going to use this more often? Personally, I would always include some real-time features in my future projects whenever I see fit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you next time.